I had a wise moment bestowed upon me the other day in regards to a lot of the different projects I have. If you've gone to HiMyNameIsChristian.com, you'll see that I have a lot of different things going on. I've got my music project, Swing for the Fences. I've got Future Boy Media, which is photo and video. I've got Rival Design Studio, which is design and social media. I've got Super Rocket Punch, which is a gaming focused thing, and Uproar Attire, which is a motivational clothing line, as well as myself, my personal brand. And I had someone take a look at all that stuff, and her simple advice was to simplify. And it's something that just kind of struck me, because I've worked really hard to take every bit of talent that I have or interest that I have and tried to create something from it. And I feel that the opportunity really lies in simplifying and finding some way to really make it into something that is easy to parse. I think that was the idea behind getting myself under a personal brand, creating the umbrella of my name, and then putting all these other ideas under it. But I think what I can actually do is consolidate everything into Future Boy Media. You know, I can have the Future Boy name is based off of Back to the Future, when Doc Brown used to call Marty McFly Future Boy. And so there's a sci-fi slash nerd culture component to that I think is kind of interesting. So I can consolidate, I can take the Super Rocket Punch name and just take that content and put it under Future Boy Media. I can take my personal brand, and I can still keep my personal brand as me, the person, Christian Rivera, and push that. But I think I can consolidate the gaming stuff under Future Boy Media, the clothing line under Future Boy Media, and then the social media and the design stuff can go all under Future Boy Media. I think giving it all one name, and that was the original idea between Rival Design Studio, was that was going to be the overarching thing, and everything was going to exist under that. But I think for some reason Future Boy Media sounds like a better opportunity to do those things. So for me, simplifying really is, it feels satisfying. The idea, the notion of doing it, it's like purging your closet and getting rid of all the stuff that you don't need anymore, the things you haven't used in a year, the stuff throughout your house, or cleaning out a file cabinet, or taking the time to really clean out aspects of your life and sort of lift the weight. I think for me, I was spreading myself too thin. I am currently spreading myself too thin. And instead of actually focusing and being able to put in the work, I'm distracted by the fact that I've got too many things going on and I can't put it all in one place. Having Anchor is kind of this godsend, because I can focus all my energy on this one area, which I believe in, which is audio, podcasting, and do this in the most simple way possible. And I really, really like that aspect. I think that feels the most natural to me, and I want to keep doing it. So I appreciate that you listen to this, and I think if you take a look, and maybe there's some ways that you can simplify what you're doing in your career or in your businesses or your ideas that you have, and try not to overcomplicate it, try not to fragment yourself, give yourself focus, something to push towards. So what is that for you? I'd love to see if you call in and tell me a little bit about that, and we can have a conversation, get that going. And if you go to HiMyNameIsChristian.com, you can check that out. This is C Note, and I will follow up with more. So when I talk about simplifying, what does that really mean? Like, what is the minimum that you really need to sustain a business, or have a business going, or have your brand going, I should say, because I should differentiate. I'm not as experienced in having a business, a successful business. I'm more the branding and marketing side of things. So in terms of branding and marketing, what are kind of the minimums that you need? I would say, to go with my last bit, is that focus on maybe yourself or one or two brands. That's something I need to fix, and something that I think helps with focus. But I think if you're going to pick one or two platforms or areas to really focus on when it comes to your brand, I'd say Instagram is absolutely number one, because in most cases that works for most businesses to share visually. If you're in food, Instagram is a godsend for that. Food trucks, restaurants, things like that. If you happen to be a pretty girl, that's an easy in for Instagram. If you are doing any kind of crafting or fitness or weight loss stuff, like, all of that is very visual. You can share that on Instagram super easy without a problem. Make sure you're using hashtags and looking up people and messaging them and finding who the influencers are and doing all that stuff. I think that is the best way to go. Instagram is killing it right now. That's the place to be. And then from there, you can kind of pick another platform that kind of fits your niche or fits your audience. So, Facebook is really great if you're willing to spend money on ads. Facebook will give you the most bang for your buck when it comes to ads. And then Twitter is great for connecting with people. If your brand has some edge or a bit of snark to it, then Twitter is really great as well. You can see big brands like Taco Bell and Wendy's and a lot of fast food places are really showing some personality by showing off their brand, by connecting to more of an urban audience, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word. People with a little bit more edge to them, a little bit more snark to them. So if your brand voice kind of fits that, I think Twitter would be really good. And then there's Snapchat, which also is, the demographic is quote unquote younger, but I don't know, I think it's across the map. I think younger being like under 35 maybe, but that's still a really wide market. So there's ways to reach people, especially if you have a personal brand. I think Snapchat is really great for that, but you have to push people to Snapchat, so you would have to use Instagram or Facebook or Twitter to get to those places anyway. And then there's Instagram Stories, which is kind of like, I almost would consider that a separate thing from Instagram, but because it's kind of like Instagram's version of Snapchat, it's really moving on up. There's the live features, there's ways to do live shows or quick little snippets of like behind the scenes stuff with the video and stuff like that. So I think those are really great opportunities there for that. And then there's podcasting, if you want to talk about the nuances of your brand and try to get guests on there and collaborations. If you have a very visual or tutorial based business, then YouTube would be really great for that as well. To really get yourself in front of the camera, show people your expertise, or do interviews, or something like that you get the chance to talk to people and really share what you're doing. If you're a graphic designer, maybe you want to think about like putting your work on Behance. There's for photographers, there's 500 pixels. There's pretty much something for everyone. But, Instagram is also, again, the perfect place for photographers and stuff like that. Especially if you're looking for clients, you can easily connect with people that way. So those are a couple of different ways that you can utilize your brand. But I'd say like, if you're going to focus on one area, Instagram is really the place to be right now. That could change. Snapchat could change something that would make them a contender again in terms of like the utmost attention. But right now, Instagram is the place to be. You can do cheap promotions. You can put up your videos. You can put up photos. You can do stories and live video and all that good stuff. Good luck out there. If you've been dying to start that podcast about doves, or about your favorite jacket, or about a long-lost love, or a murder mystery about a cat who murdered everybody, you can start it now on Spotify for podcasters. I've been on Anchor for a long time, and now it is officially Spotify for podcasters, and it has been a platform that has been growing for
forever, and I love it, and I still use it to this day, and it has hosted this podcast for 500 plus episodes now. So I highly recommend it. It is free to use. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. I'm literally on my bed recording on my, the phone is on the bed, and I'm just talking, and it's not that complicated. And then you can distribute your podcast on Spotify and everywhere else that podcasts are heard. So video podcasts are available too if you want to show your pretty face and have people see you. You can do all that too. So just do it. It's totally free, no catch. Give it a try. Spotify for Podcasters. Let's go.
So if you've got Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, all of those things kind of in the works, what else can you do? Does it make sense to have a website in 2017? I think it does. I think it depends on the context. I mean, if you're e-commerce, of course you should have a website. You need somewhere to sell things. If you're a personal brand and you're trying to sell books or trying to kind of give people a one-stop shop for everything that you are, which is essentially what my site is. My name is Christian.com. You go there and you kind of learn a little bit about what I am, and there is a form to capture leads, and then I can send emails to people and all that fun stuff. So there are purposes for that. I mean, if you're a band, you could use a website to show off some of your music, to sell some of your albums. If you're selling, you can have it be a hub for all of the different places that your music is available. So if you're on Amazon, iTunes, Spotify, and other distribution platforms, you can post embedded streamable posts on there, or links to the buy now pages, and or links to merchandise, photos of the band, photos of yourself making music, behind the scenes stuff, or even link, and put embedded links to your social channels so that people can continue to follow you directly on those channels. So having a website definitely makes sense. I hear that Squarespace is still pretty good. I've used Instapage, which is a little pricey, but it's pretty easy to use. And WordPress, when I say WordPress, used to be super easy. Now it's probably the most complicated of the three. You can also use Wix, which the last time I used Wix, it wasn't all that great, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's improved dramatically, and maybe I'll check it out and do more of a official review of that to kind of let you know how that is currently. But yeah, Squarespace is a great option if you if you don't know much about building a website. Squarespace is great. You can even use a Tumblr as your site. I don't really know much about the state of Tumblr at the moment, but which is worth looking into, and maybe I'll follow up on that. But you can create a Tumblr site on through Tumblr, and there are a lot of great templates that will allow you to do some fairly robust things. But ultimately, you don't need a complicated website for most situations. If you're an e-commerce site, maybe you'll need like a WordPress site or something hosted separately, and but there are also platforms that will host a lot of products. You've got eBay and Etsy and other things like that. TeePublic, TeeFury, sites like that will do sort of like printing and distribution or things like that. So you can always look into those options as well. But if I'd say in 2017, it's perfectly okay to have a website as long as it's focused and doesn't have like cats and lasers. I mean, you can if it's like part of your brand and it's like the funny thing to do, but you're not gonna have GIFs all over it like it's 2001 or anything. We're not making a GeoCities site here. We're making a professional website that is nice and simple and clean. And look, I mean, if you do want to go to my site and you want some help with making a website, I can make one for you. Total plug right there, but you can email me at rivalmadstudios@gmail.com and let's talk about it. Let's see. So I'm going to leave you guys with one last piece of advice for today's podcast version of this. With Instagram or Facebook or any of those social platforms that you want to go on for your business, your side business, your main business, your freelance, or whatever, I would suggest, first and foremost, to develop self-awareness, to know what works for you, to know your tendencies, to know the tendencies of maybe people you're working with, and take a look at which platforms may fall into those tendencies, but also consider what the voice of your platform is, or rather the voice of your brand. If it's a personal brand, it's just your voice, that makes it easier. Just try to be yourself. Try not to be super salesy and just be genuine with people. If you're a brand, you need to kind of think about what kind of personality your brand would have. Does it have a face? Does it have a name? Does it have a favorite food? Does it have a favorite color? Like, what would it do when met with confrontation? What kind of customer service person are they? Does it have, I think I already said, does it have a name? Think about those things first, because then you can figure out how the copy will come about, and it'll help you define what platforms you end up on. So, like I said before, if your brand is a little bit snarky, or if you're like a motivational, like no bullshit kind of brand, maybe Twitter is a good place for you. And that could help define what kind of imagery you use on Instagram and what kind of ads you put out there on Facebook. So just take an extra moment, really not a moment, it's more like a continuous thing, of being self-aware of yourself and your brand to try to figure out how to take the next step and how to approach things. Because that will ultimately lead you to success in the modern business world. People are tired of seeing salesy nonsense. They want genuine type of people. They can tell when someone's like trying to sell you with every word that they say. I'm trying to get to that point also, where I'm not trying to push you too much to different areas. I want you guys to check out my work and my projects, but I'm not trying to make you buy anything. So I guess that's kind of the difference. I really want to help people learn some things and get kind of caught up, because I think the landscape's going to be shifting in a few years, and it's always shifting. You have to kind of always be on the lookout of like what the new thing is. Instagram, I feel, is on top right now, but it could very well change. It could be Snapchat again very soon. Twitter could find a new thing and jump back up to the top. So you never know. You got to be vigilant and you got to be ready. So take that advice and run with it. Do what you can. I want you to think, this is going to end the Tuesday podcast, and I'll start, if you're listening on Anchor, continue to check back, and I'll keep posting music and little anecdotes and stuff. And then go to HiMyNameIsChristian.com, follow me on I Rival My Design on all social platforms, and let's chat there. Question, I would like to know what the voice of your brand is. Call in and talk to me in the voice of your brand. Give me a 1-minute sales pitch. I would like to hear what your brand's voice sounds like, and what kind of people they're talking to, how they're talking to them. If there's a name of the brand, and then the name of the person associated with that brand. Maybe there's a mascot involved. You never know. That could be an interesting approach. So call in, and I'd love to hear that. See you later.